Today we're going to go over pronouns. We're going to go over the personal pronoun, the reflexive pronoun, and the possessive pronoun. Many of you probably already know what pronouns are, but let's go over pronouns anyway. Pronouns are words that are used to reference other nouns that have been in previous sentences or are in the same sentence as the pronoun. Here in our example we have, Marie kicked the ball. She scored a goal. Here we have the pronoun she, which refers to Marie. Marie is the antecedent. It's important to note that you must match the pronoun to the antecedent. Let's start with a personal pronoun, which I'm sure pretty much all of you are familiar with. This is where it all starts. In our example we have, I threw the ball at Sandy. She caught it. Here we have two different pronouns, she, which refers to Sandy, and it, which refers to ball. As you can see in the sentence, personal pronouns can be the subject and object of a sentence. So, they have both subject and object form. The first person is used when writers put themselves inside a sentence. We have singular and plural forms. In our example we have, I brought ice for us to share. Note the use of I as the subject and us as the object. The second person is used when writers address the readers, or if a person is speaking, they're addressing the listeners. If you notice here, the singular and plural forms of both the subject and object are the same. In this example we have, you are the new engineer. The workers will ask you questions. The third person is used when writers are referring to people or things. There is the singular form and the plural form. I won't spend too much time on this since I'm sure a lot of you already have a great deal of practice. But you do want to make sure that you use the correct form when it comes to subject and object. It's a common mistake to say something like, for example in our sentence, Jim ate the sandwiches. You wouldn't say, him got sick after eating them. You say, he got sick after eating them. Now let's talk about the reflexive pronoun. This one's slightly more exciting than the personal pronoun. Here we have, Joe hit Joe. So the question is, did Joe hit himself or another person named Joe? And here we have, Joe hit himself. With this sentence, it is very clear. Joe is not hitting another person. In this sentence, Joe is both the subject and object. We use reflective pronouns when the subject of the verb is the same as the direct object of that verb. I won't spend too much time on this chart either, but one thing that I wanted to point out is that if a noun can be replaced by one of these personal pronouns, then we use the corresponding reflexive pronoun. For example, Joe is a he, so we would use himself. There are two things that you want to keep in mind when you're writing using the reflexive pronoun. The first is that we use the preposition by to show that the action was done alone. For example, the little girl walked home by herself. She walked home alone. We also omit the reflexive pronoun if it is an action normally done alone. Here we have two different sentences. He dressed himself before work. We cut out himself, so we just say something like this. He dressed before work. Now let's talk about possessive pronouns. Here we have a quick little dialogue. Jack says, who owns this shirt? Cindy says, Jill's shirt is green. It is hers. So here, hers shows that it, the shirt, belongs to a previously mentioned girl, Jill. Alright, so we use possessive pronouns when we refer to something which belongs to someone or something. To possess means to own or have, hence the word possessive. Here's another chart to show which pronoun goes where. Just like the reflexive, if you can use the personal pronoun, then use the corresponding possessive pronoun when you're referring to that word. I do want to go over it. It is a very special case. It's important to note that it has no possessive pronoun. We use the possessive determiner, which is an adjective, its, to show ownership. For example, the dog bites down on its bone. We also want to make sure that you understand that its with an apostrophe means it is, which is very different than its without an apostrophe. Here we have a sentence, these boots belong to Bob. In this other sentence we have, they are theirs. This doesn't quite fit, because one, Bob is only one person. The boots might be plural, but Bob is one person. So we say, they are his, meaning his boots. It's also important to note that the word his can take the place of both Bob and the boots. This is actually a really great tool when it comes to paraphrasing, if you've already mentioned the antecedents in previous sentences. This concludes today's lecture on pronouns. If anything was unclear for you, you can always rewind and watch it again.